What's up, motherfuckers? Today, on the scattered thoughts of Mr. Know-It-Owl, it's sunny out. It's nice out, but it's still kind of chilly. It's probably like 40 or, yeah, 40. I was just gonna do another jam session on my acoustic. Maybe talk about some stuff, but I was gonna jam out some new riffs. Some of my solo project stuff again. Not the no class stuff. It doesn't sound good on the acoustic. But yeah, let's see if it sounds alright. This is a new one that I've been working on. It's dark and bluesy, I guess. That's not it. Damn it. You put a camera on, it's like when you're in the studio about to record, you fucking fuck up. Ugh. At least I do. It's like the nerve thing. Don't ruin it, and then you ruin it. That's all I have for now with that song. As you can tell, I wasn't... Hold on a sec. As you could tell, I wasn't even close to perfect, which nobody's perfect, but you could hear fuck-ups if you're a musician. It's also colder than I think out here because my hands were like numb trying to hit the strings and shit. Plus I'm not warmed up. But fuck the excuses. I'm human. People fuck up. What was I talking about before I started to play this? Recording? Yeah. That's one thing. In the studios, like, I don't know, as soon as you hit the record button, because you want to be perfectly on time, you know, so it's easier for the producer also. It just sounds better, of course, and you want to be perfectly on time. Right at that moment, it stresses you out and makes you fuck up sometimes. Sometimes the best, at least for me in the studio, is when I'm just like, they have it looped, and then I can just record whenever, and I'm just you know, like feeling the groove and just start jamming it and get in a relaxed mode. Not saying that drugs are good for you, but that's why sometimes people, you know, prefer to smoke weed or drink a 40 or take their happy meds. It relaxes their nerves and their mind. It's first a mind thing, I would say. And then it can become like a nerve type of thing when it comes to fucking up. Or vice versa. But usually for me it's a mind thing. Just like fears. You gotta overcome stupid, pointless fears. Oh, so happy the sun's out. Even though on the camera it looks really dark, even though the sun's right there. Watch. See? Nice bright sun. But yeah, I know I'm slow on making the videos, but I have to be in the mood, and I guess I'm not in the mood often. Actually, like, I want to make videos, it's always in my head, but forcing myself out of my laziness and chronic fatigue feeling sucks. But usually as soon as I turn the camera on, I just start blabbing away anyways. Bunch of fucking random thoughts. Let's see if I could jam out another riff for you guys. Trying to think. It's hard to play stuff, at least the riffs that I play, for it to sound good on its own. But when you overlap the instruments, the bass, doubling the guitar, and then add leads and vocals, it just fills it all in nicely. That's why a lot of times people would be like, play your stuff, and I'm on an acoustic, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, how am I gonna play? It just doesn't sound as good. Like, here's a song that we have with No Class Assassins, Piss Poor Painted Face. It's like a blast beat song, and it's like, it just sounds weird. See the squeal? Can't hear that. The chorus of that song is a little bit catchier, but it's acoustic. And people want me to play No Class on the acoustic. My favorite part of that song, even though I wrote all the riffs, but is Out of Nowhere riff. But anyways, trying to think of one of my poets of pathos, or pathos, poets of pathos, or pathos, I don't know how to properly pronounce shit, fucking stupid English. Here's one that technically my bass player, Stotler from No Class, wrote. Sometimes he writes stuff, and sometimes he doesn't even know he's writing something, and I'll be like, hey, what is that? And I like it, and I'd be like, show me. Even though he doesn't even have it figured out himself, and then I take it and I perfect it. And he's kind of like a, I don't know if it's correct term, but I like how it sounds, ghostwriter for poets of pathos. And this is one of those riffs. And this is, like, he doesn't write a lot of songs or music, but when he does, and I notice it, a lot of times I catch it. He doesn't even realize it. And it's very fucking good. Okay, let's try it. there at the end. I can't feel my fingertips because it's cold. Holy shit. But yeah, that main riff, down, 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 boom, 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 boom. He wrote that. Technically, he wrote like, I don't know how to break it down in percentages, 75, 80% of it. Hell, maybe even more than that. And I smoothed it out and little things like certain maybe slides and hammer-ons or pull-offs to make it sound a little bit better. But he wrote that riff, and I think it's fucking catchy as fuck. I never want, don't want to use it for no class because it's just a different style. That's one thing too, as a musician, when you do other projects, it's trying to figure out which riffs work well in what projects. It's harder than it sounds. That's why I focus mainly on no class, because especially being the guitar player, I don't know, I get weirded out. Like if I'm in another project and I come up with a badass riff, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to use that for this. I want to use it for no class. It's just the way I am. I don't know how other people are. Write in the comments and tell me. Another thing is, on this topic of like music and stuff, is I feel like usually when people explain how they write music or in the studio and stuff like that, they never explain it or talk about it in a way that I think about it or vision it or want them to talk about it. It's like they all have I don't know if it's because they all just were brought up similar or they feel they need to sound the same. Not every single one, but most of them. They explain things the same, or they don't talk about the things I wish they would talk about in the studio, or just when they explain how they wrote an album and stuff, or their lyrics. It all seems the same. I want to hear like more in depth, like that's what I want to hear. Here's another riff that my bass player Stotler from No Class Assassins wrote, and I touched it up again, but he gets most of the credit because he did write it. I thought it was very catchy and moody sounding. That's another thing I wanted for Poets of Pathos, is emotional sounding. That's not the full song, this is the part of it. And the part I wrote over top of that riff, which I can't play both parts at once, and I don't have all that fancy camera stuff to intertwine it, but one day you'll hear it. I wrote this over top of it. Yeah. What other riff did he help me write for my solo project. He wrote that and he kind of wrote the chorus part too. That was something that he slightly wrote, and then I added my twist to it as well. That's kind of a 50-50 riff. That's one thing when you do a project, especially somebody allowing you to take something that they wrote and use it as your own. But me and him have been friends for a long time, and he's also going to be part of the project. I don't like it. I hate knowing that there's good musicians out there, and not many of them, that I enjoy how they sound or play, but like my friend Schultz, for instance, one of the few guitar players or musicians that writes music that I pretty much like 99% of everything he writes, even 100%. It all depends, but it's very high up there. I was in a band with him called Mass Hysteria, and it was like the best example, if you were to mix music-wise, I'd say, at that time at least, Slayer meets Pantera, no fucking joke. But then as we were starting to play more, it still had a very Pantera, Slayerish vibe, but we mixed, obviously more influences, Machine Head, Sepultura, middle ground Sepultura, like Arise, KSAD, what else? An older Machine Head. Though, even the shitty albums can influence you in a way. There could be a couple good riffs on there. You pick apart the shit. Even shitty music, you could hear it and pick something good out of it, and it can influence you. What else? Hardcore bands, which our vocalists at the time had more of a Earth Crisis hardcore style vocals with a little bit of a I don't know how you would describe his clean singing or talking, a little Deftone-ish.